are the seers of Arugula. Is there anything else that they're telling you?
I feel that connection. That's where that coldness is coming from.
Yeah.
And it's like they're talking like it's more like I don't know. It's so weird. It's like a we are the seers of Arugula. Kind of like that.
Yeah. Is there anything else that they were saying or wanted to say?
I'm trying to connect with it. I feel their essence, like I hear the flute, I feel the essence.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not telling me nothing's coming through.
Mm.
It's like I'm zenning out there.
Is it always that energy that makes us feel that pressure switch and the coldness and all that? That's such a beauty. It's like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah, still I rise.
Still I rise. Beautiful Maya Angelou poem.
It is.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard it, which I know you probably have because you follow us and we share that a lot, you should look it up if you haven't by chance. And you can look it up and read it, but you should actually watch Maya because you can see the soul in that poem and the soul that she put into it and her very magical essence that she had. A lot of people don't know, but she was a very spiritual woman, and you can tell by her poetry.
Yes, I love that.
I know why the caged bird sings. And you actually had an affinity to wanting to know your first tattoo to be that.
I did because I felt very controlled. That very much part of my life, and it was a cage, and said it had a saying about not being ensnared. And had the crows coming out of the cage. So it makes a lot of sense with what's going on around me right now.
A lot of that synchronicity. That's cool. I love when we can put those lessons together, and it just happens right here on Contact Buzz.
We've been having a lot of epiphanies.
We have.
And a lot of growth. So you're not getting the same Holly in Dallas, like the last episode.
Allow us to reintroduce ourselves. Oh,
yes, please, let's do.
We're always growing, and we always preach this. It's okay. You go through patches, and you kind of stall out, or life happens, and you get distracted from your spiritual path, but not us, not this time. We've not been distracted in a long while. Don't get me wrong on that. But just life happens, and you lose focus for a minute, and you have to regather and regain yourself, you know.
And that's okay because, we're still working on our generational trauma. We're working on our own traumas, healing. Until I'm telling you, when you give over to spirit, that also means that you've got to push through all this shit that you put to the wayside.
It does, and it means also, too, that you will lose connections with people, whether it be through death, through ending of friendships. Something will happen, and spirit will make that move. And unfortunately, once a person has served their complete purpose in our path, they move on, and we move on. Does that make it easy? Hell no, it don't.
No, it don't.
And if you're not paying attention and doing what you need to do, spirit's going to take care of that for you. And that person will be somehow or another removed from your life and your path. It's inevitable. It's one of the harder parts of spirituality.
The beautiful part of it afterwards, it's such a freeing feeling. I know personally in my life, the last couple of weeks, because I put things to my wayside, and not really, but I knew that I had to do things in timing. I knew it had to serve its purpose, and it did.
Right.
So I'm coming out and I'm rising from the ashes.
Absolutely, yeah. We both are.
We both are. Yeah.
I've had some really hard times lately. I've lost 4 of my closest relatives and family members that I've held dear and loved dearly my whole life, and looked up to and learned from. And I just recently, in the past 3 or 4 days, lost my grandma. My Granny Jean, actually, and she was the thread that held the family together. She was the last little bit of thread that held that family together. But my hope is that we still remain close and do things as a family and all that. But yeah, it's crazy how life happens, and again, spirit moves, man, whether you're ready or not, especially when you fully give in, because sometimes we fight it and we're stubborn for whatever weird reason. As much as we love it and crave and yearn to know and to feel, we still reject it sometimes, because it's a hard feeling to allow that energy to channel through your body.
It is. And moving is hard.
It is hard.
It can take, whatever situation you're in, moving is taking that next step to say, I am going to be a better version of myself. I'm taking myself to a higher energy, so I have to leave behind all these things. And we've said this, and they said it, but we're feeling it now. Yeah,
we are totally feeling it, and it's true. And you have to take things for what they are, and you can't wallow. You can't lay down and die.
Mm-hmm.
You have a purpose still to serve, whether theirs is done or not.
That's right.
So you can't grieve yourself to death. You can't focus unneeded energy on that, because it's needed elsewhere, of course. I feel like for me right now, it's a brand new chapter. I have lost all of my grandparents now. I don't have any grandparents left. So that to me is a big deal. And my Granny Jean, she was a precious soul to me. She was very much like a second mother. Was very involved in my life when I was a child, all the way up through adulthood. So it's like losing a mother.
It is.
Which I still have my mom, thank God for that. But that's it. It's funny how life. I'm not even 40 yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I never imagined my life from 40 on without so many people in it.
Yeah.
And what it is spirit is moving.
Yeah.
Again, spirit's moving.
It's moving, and
things have to happen in order for things to come about, And if we're too stubborn to see it, spirit's going to push us right on through, And that's what we've been dealing with. And we've been seeing some major blessings out of these things. It may be something super hard, the hardest thing that you'll ever have to go through in life, but that again is the phoenix rising from the ashes.
It is.
So
out of death comes beauty too.
It does.
It really does. And no matter what happens after that last thread falls, it will be what it's got to be. Because it's the path that we got to walk.
That's true.
Because I lost my papa in 2017, and he was ours.
Yeah.
And my grandma's still alive, and she's alone because generational trauma.
Of course, right.
Yeah, so there we are with that. Yeah. So if anybody ever tries to say that they're perfect and they are in a teaching role or they're speaking to you,
then you need to run.
You need to run.
Yeah, you need to get away from that person as quickly as possible, because they're lying to you.
Yeah, they're lying.
Nobody's perfect. Even if we are an amazing teacher and we've had all these beautiful, amazing experiences that we can draw from, at the end of the day, we are still human, and we still have that ability to err just like anybody else.
We're here for growth too.
We're human, and we are growing daily. We've grown.
Oh my
God.
We've been having some cool shit happen.
Yeah.
Like, totally. Y'all know we've talked about the third eye view. well, you can take it up from there and go a little higher. I don't know. It's just a lot of third eye work.
It's actually a physical push in your third eye and your brain.
It truly is.
You can feel it drop up, not drop up, but go up.
It is, yeah.
It's like whoop.
Yeah.
And you can feel that change inside that right side of the brain.
Yes, you can.
It's cool.
It is really cool.
And not only the physical effects, there's of course metaphysical effects as well. We get really cool things in meditation, you know.
Heck yeah, we do.
And beautiful visions that we'll never remember as soon as we come to.
Yeah,
but we know that it's important stuff that we're seeing, and again, we'll draw from that when we need to, I feel like.
Yeah. And, you know, that's why lately we talked about layers on our different little outlets, is because you don't really understand, and I told Dallas this too, is it's just recently that I understood how in-depth that really is, because you can look back on your life and you can see everything. You're up, like you said, a bird's eye view up above. You can look down on everything and go through it. You truly can.
You really
now,
can.
We've always done that on a scale, because we've talked about this, dealing with our shit, right?
Right, but so we didn't...
We didn't know that it was like a holy shit.
It really does give you the sensation that you're up outside your body looking down on your life.
Yeah.
And you can slide it around like slide puzzle pieces to fit in alignment, and you realize this is why this had to happen. This is what I need to focus on instead of this.
Yeah.
It's
you
like...
deal with your anger and bitterness towards situations and people.
Yeah.
So you let go of it. And so people will look at you like, well, they just cut everybody off.
Yeah, like you're dissociated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is what I would describe the feeling lately on the spiritual forecast.
Yeah.
Is disassociation.
Yep.
And if you're feeling this, it is okay. It is 100% okay, and I'll tell you why. Because in order for us to shift to this consciousness, we have to change the perception, and part of that is being aware that we are disassociated from the virtual reality that is around us, you know?
It's true. I mean, you got... I can't see it no other way, but again, we've had all these beautiful experiences, and let me tell you, putting in the work is number one, the key factor to making things happen. Because you can sit and say that you meditate, which is great. You can quiet the mind, which is great. But until you start realizing these lessons that you're being shown in meditation about your life outside, so you can become a better person to rise to the level that you need to cross over into this new world with us, which is what we're working on, which is hyper speed ready, commencing final laps here. It's coming. It's here.
Yeah.
We've made it, guys. We really have. But now's the transitioning over into that, and that's why we're disassociating.
Yes. Okay, so here are some of the things. We no longer look at the news. I have no clue what the fuck's going on around us right now. Even it don't even seem to be a thing if I scroll down the news feed. Now, local news or whatever, a lot of shootings right now. People are losing their shit. The crazy ones are just getting crazier. It's because we're pulling away.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We're pulling away from that energy.
Absolutely, we are.
So, baby, you're going to start losing a lot.
You will. And trust me, it is not easy, but you are a fucking warrior. And you can get through this, because we are just like you, and we're getting through this. And thank God we've put in the work to get to realize what is going on right now. And that's why we do what we do with the retreats. That's why we do what we do with the meditation classes. That totally we're giving away basically on online, but it's a beautiful class that you should check into. We love the interaction with everybody. We love being able to use our experiences to help people grow.
Well,
why would you not?
Calling in our tribe is what's happening. We talked about this. Is the people that are attracted to us are the people that we either need to learn from or they need to learn from us. We give and take, right? So, then people are coming through, and them are the people who will be listening to these and resonating with us,
guys,
and knowing that we are coming together. We come in this soul contract for a purpose, and we knew that as children. We've talked about this.
We have.
We've known that we had a bigger purpose, but we didn't want to believe it because that's ego, right? Nah.
Yeah.
Then you get to the point where you're like, okay, I give over. And when you start giving over, you lose a lot. But it's a lot of bad stuff, you know? You don't want that negativity in your life.
Which is great. You need to lose that. That's the whole goal. I don't understand why it's designed the way it is, but it's a really cool process working the puzzle pieces and
it is
figuring out the lessons that you're presented, and to even realize that they are lessons. You're doing phenomenal, and you're well on your way to where you need to be if you're at that point in your spiritual path. But we had, let me tell you, such a beautiful retreat.
Oh my God.
Since we last spoke. Our first retreat of the year at the end of March. We're into April now because we've been dealing with some stuff. So, but anyway, had a good dear friend of mine who I hadn't spoke with in at least 10 years, but we connected about 20 years ago through work. Anyway, she had been friends with me on Facebook, and of course I share our stuff and all that. So she saw the retreats, and she was like, I think I'm going to try that out. Thankfully, she came, and beautiful soul. It was like we picked back up where we left off. You know, we had classes 10 years ago together at the community college. So we did reconnect a little, but it was only like through those classes and stuff like that. But anyway, beautiful weekend with Hannah. We really got to bond again and reconnect that friendship from 20 years ago, which was really cool. And then we had Miss Michelle and her daughter, and her daughter Madeline, and they were delightful and cool story. We met this Michelle that I hold dear to my heart now. We met her in Savannah at when we were doing the pub crawl in Savannah. Randomly, she was drawn to Holly's energy. Holly spoke to her, and then they connected and found us later after the pub crawl. We stood outside, I don't know, for 30 minutes chatting with them and told them about what we do and all that, and we let her know about the retreats and our podcast and all that. And she ended up reaching out to Holly and taking those last 2 spots that we had for the March retreat. And such a beautiful weekend. I mean, from the moment they entered the door to the time we pulled out of the driveway, it was magical.
It was.
And I couldn't have hoped for... I didn't have any expectations, and we even talked about this in the car driving to the retreat. I wasn't for sure what to expect, and I think that's what made it even more truly special, is we didn't have any expectations of how it would go. And let me tell you, it went as beautifully as you could have ever imagined a spiritual retreat to go.
The natural healing kicked in.
It did
Saturday night, you know? And people are meant to be there at that same time for the same purposes, and everybody has a breakthrough. Even us, there being there, the retreat owners and running the retreat, but everybody gets healings in some way, shape, or form. And they learn something about themselves.
They do. Yep.
And that moment always will be imprinted on them.
Yeah, and that moment is a special, beautiful moment that we always get to hold near and dear to our heart.
Yes.
I'm always the softie that at the end of the weekend I'm like crying trying to hold myself together.
I'm like, damn it,
together as we do what we call the Omei circles, and we picked that up from one of the native ceremonies that we went to. They did a beautiful Omei circle, and we include that. We have ever since we started doing the retreats in our retreat, and it's a special moment, that is, because you get to say what's on your mind and just let it flow from your heart, and it gets emotional. And what we do makes me emotional, because I love being able to use my personal experience to help somebody figure out something in their life,
We had a dream, and we never thought that dream would come true until we started believing in that dream. And then we come back together for the purpose. We know this. We talked about this, and here we are. We're putting the work into it, and it's like, wow, it's in front of us.
We're on the second year of this, and it's been, each retreat gets a little better than the next.
Yeah.
Because me and you, know what to tweak and what works and what don't.
Right.
And mostly it just flows naturally.
It does, very naturally.
We are by the book people, y'all. We sit and we make lists for lists. So we've got an itinerary that we plan to use to go by.
Yeah.
You know,
we may not go by
it. We may not go by
and that's
it, which
okay.
is great. It happened this past retreat, and it was such a beautiful thing. And I'm not being egotistical in the least. I'm bragging about the good feelings because it was amazing.
Everybody ate.
Yeah, everybody ate, which is a change from the retreats. Yeah. Every previous retreat, nobody really cared for breakfast.
Yeah.
So we'd always have the breakfast foods, and actually on Sunday, Holly would make a southern cooked breakfast, and nobody ever seemed interested in eating.
Well, most of our attendees has had like surgeries.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's been cool. I mean, we get to, this path connects you with some beautiful, beautiful souls. And
that's what's so emotional at the end.
It is, because
knowing that
you've had that, you formed that bond that's going to last forever.
And
that's
you
a lasting.
Make sure that everybody feels get something out of it. You know,
absolutely.
and that's scary going into something like this. But you know, you jump. I'll be right back.
You do jump. Water. When spirit just says jump, you better say how high.
Go get water.
Yeah, you have to go get a water. But we have really loved each of these retreats that we've done. It's been a beautiful process. Again, we build it from the basis of just knowing that we wanted to use our experience to help others. And my God, I never realized how much of an impact we can make if we put in the work to do so. You know?
Yeah.
And it's all about being your true and authentic self.
Yeah, I agree as I eat my cookie.
Yeah. Got some good old soft batch. So this is Holly and Dallas, and we are at our first spiritual retreat for the year.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
So right now we're doing one of our exercises that we do at the retreat, and that's letting energy flow through us through use of instruments. So we're going to play a little drum session for you. Holly's on the flute. Madeline's on the ring
flute either, okay?
But we're just going to let it flow and see what happens. getting off because when she'd stop the flute, I didn't know if she was going to end it yet or not.
I was waiting on y'all too. I had my eyes closed. I was like, Ray Jones over here, okay?
Such a good evening.
Yes, it is.
We have been having the time of our lives the past couple nights. We've had a lot of really awesome spiritual breakthroughs, and we'll talk about those eventually. It may not come out right now, but as we think of it, we'll tell you. It's been a minute. We've been focusing on nature a lot more, guys. We've been out and about, enjoying this beautiful, beautiful warm weather that's finally back. We made it through that long, cold, hard winter that it seems to get worse and worse as I get older, but
same. We talked about that. We now know why the older generations moved to Florida.
Yeah, I would totally become a snowbird or whatever they want to call it. Yeah, I'd go down to the south, stay till about May, and then come back up here and stay till about
right, by the way.
November. May and November is what I would do.
Yeah. Isn't it funny to think that one bird, like the hummingbirds, they migrate?
Yeah.
And so think about it. They go back to the same places
we just
that they
talked
were.
About that.
We did.
Yeah.
And when they go down there, they have a certain place they go to.
And then when they come back up here, I was sitting out on my porch. I actually cleaned off my back porch today, and I had a little hummingbird visitor, and it zoomed right up to where the feeder usually hangs. I had it off because I was cleaning it, but there's not been any juice or whatever it is put in there and since last year. So it come right up. It knew, that its food was going to be there, and it had been in Florida previously, or wherever they go.
So, ain't it funny to think, though, that it's connected to some family in Florida is feeding that, and it's staying there at their house, and they're
so
getting
there's
this
two
connection.
Different bonds, and they don't even, we would never realize it.
Yeah.
So, I'm sharing my hummingbird with other people,
Yeah.
And you have to do that in life sometimes.
Yes, you gotta share that hummingbird.
And that's a metaphor. You take from it what you will.
Yeah. You know what's coming to mind to talk about? I know we haven't talked about it on the shows. Is the past life regressions that we had at the shop. A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But before that too, we haven't really hit on that. So y'all know about the channeling, and you'll hear it throughout the episodes ongoing.
Right.
We are at a learning process now where we ain't doing it as much, and it's
right.
Spirit's actually been speaking through other things and people.
Yeah.
So it's been coming through on our past life regressions with people.
Yes, instead of them tuning in on a past life of theirs, they are connecting with these beings that we've been connecting with, and we're not channeling them directly. They are channeling through somebody else to give us these messages. Yeah. It's the coolest shit, guys.
I about died.
Yeah, the first time it happened was the past life regression before this last one.
Yeah.
And then it happened so much at this next one too.
Yes.
And it's undeniable that Spirit's giving us these messages, firing it off left and right to make sure that we hear that. And it's up to us to realize what they're doing, because that's happening with you right now, I guarantee, as well, along your spiritual path. We have to learn to tune into those energies and fill them out and listen,
Yeah. I agree.
But it is a beautiful time to be a very spiritual being, because everyone is blossoming so much quicker than they used to be able to do.
Yeah. The people that come into for the past life regressions too is the people that channeled. Most of them were just starting on their spiritual paths, so they had no clue what they were doing or saying.
Yeah, they were an open conduit.
They were.
We were taking them through those past lives.
Yeah. So we got some really cool messages, and it's the same type of messages we receive, and anybody that as a channeler receives those same type of channels, and they're typically how can you describe what we?
They're typically very prophetic. And they are very informative of what we need to be doing on our spiritual path, and that is we as a collective, and not just me and Holly.
Right.
And so that message always comes through. If you've been working on your spiritual path, you'll feel it. You'll know that there's a difference in it.
Yep.
And it's going to be recognizable that it's Spirit saying, hey, listen here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have this big movement into the transitioning of the new world.
Yeah.
Me and Dallas, like he just said, the last 2 nights have been amazing. We have been really working on our mindsets over the years, and especially the last year has been amazing. We said that last year about the year before that, but this one tops it all, I think, because it's just like a new start on the in that journey and that transition into the new earth. Yeah. And if you're feeling that, you're feeling it in different ways depending on your spiritual path and how far along you are on it.
Absolutely. And I feel like a completely different man, honestly. I really do. Same. I feel like I know the versions of myself that I created to survive, and I thank them, and I wish I had to it fell down.
Damn it.
It was a stink bug.
Damn it. You know what would be so bad if it was right there in my hair, and then down on my...
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're cool, you're cool. I'm trying to reel it back in and remember what I was talking about.
Oh, about the path.
Oh yeah, everybody has to walk their own path, but you got me.
I lost it too, so
I'm sure it was beautiful, and you guys continued on the conversation that you knew what we were going to say there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got lost there, and we're back on track now. So
about the growth, we was talking about the spiritual growth.
Oh yeah. I feel like a new, completely different version of myself.
Yes, there we go.
Once I started truly getting to know myself and truly to love myself completely, it has the spiritual growth.
These are the parts that you guys are just, you're dying laughing with us. So it's about you changed. You woke up changed.
Yeah, you wake up as a changed person. Yeah. I know what I was going to say. I know myself better now than I ever have, and I love myself for that.
Yeah.
Because I've picked myself apart. I've realized my flaws. I've worked so hard to overcome. Yeah. And I'm still doing that, and we'll always do that. We're always going to be improving and becoming better versions of ourselves. But just being able to be so alert and aware of your life instead of being in that brain fog is such a wonderful feeling. To know that what you should do, right and wrong, that you're going to trust that gut instinct and that ability to just innately know what you need to do, and that's where them messages from spirits come in too.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because that's how I feel. That's on my journey. I feel it, but I feel at peace.
Yeah.
And you just know that from these days on is smooth sailing. Yeah. Because we've created that. We've got rid of a lot of our fears and still overcoming some of our fears. And it goes deep when you get into your spiritual... there's a difference between your spiritual path and your spiritual journey and spiritual... whatever you want to call it, it's deep.
It is very deep.
As deep as you will allow it to go.
And we are at the parts right now where it's deep and it's hard for us to face, and we go deep into that transcendental meditation, right? And that's where you do it. That's where you correct those issues. And I know you guys, if you meditate a lot, you know this. But it's really cool because you... as I say it, I am struggling.
Transcendental meditation.
I know, yeah.
Meditation.
I had a wonderful point there too.
Yeah. If that.
Oh, the experiences that we have had in the past couple nights and dealing with our fears. That's what I was going to say. Sorry. reeled it back in. But yeah, dealing with our fears on a deep meditative level. Like, no joke.
I'm sorry, I know. Oh, God, it's me and Dallas's inside thing over here.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's beautiful, though. I mean, seriously.
Well, in order to let go, we feel like there's a certain point that we reach in meditation where it's scary to get past.
It is scary. It is the fear of death.
It is the fear of death.
And there is levels of overcoming fear of death.
Yeah. And there is, and we face different
The letting go of the physical body it's not as easy as people let on to fully let go.
Right.
And by saying fully let go, I don't mean death of self.
Right.
It means that you are consciously outside of your body.
Yeah.
And that you are in these other realms in a whole different level.
Yeah.
Because we all know there's astral projection. Then there is also you're conscious of it. You're living through it. You're we're fortunate. We're fortunate because we have each other.
Right.
And so we are able to say, "Hey, I'm seeing this, feeling this." We link up so much. I mean, shocker, but we link up so much, and all of our experiences that we're going through are together.
It makes it so much easier and so much nicer.
It really does.
Have somebody to pick apart things with, you know.
Yeah, we do, and it's like, I don't know, and I've said it before. It's like learning all this new stuff, and learning it on your own, and then seeing it, being talked about, or on a science level, and you're like, I know what this means.
Yeah, because you've received that information in meditation.
Exactly.
I couldn't tell you how many times that we've done that.
See, that's my problems with schools, is that the information that children need as a human is within themselves. So if they taught meditation and taught the children how to meditate from a small age all the way up to whenever, and then didn't put them in the category, like, get their basic learnings of things, and then let them flourish.
Oh, I know.
Because they naturally have all this stuff within them, and we just suppress it by all the bullshit.
That's true.
And that's why in this new transition and that new 5D that everybody talked about, which has converted into the new Earth, because I know y'all have heard it in different ways, and all it is, it combines. So because it is 5D, it is a feeling of just pure happiness and love and compassion, and just knowing that everything's going to be okay from here on out.
Yeah.
And that in this world, that we don't have to worry about distractions, like watching actors on trials and things that are meant to keep you distracted. And by distracted, I don't mean by what's going on the other side. I mean distracted altogether, and not realizing that it's so much more than just all of that. That mundane, that bullshit, negativity, negative energy, you start to realize just how deep it is rooted within us.
Oh, God, yeah.
And that's powerful healing when you overcome all that.
Yeah.
And that's many lifetimes that you have to live and reincarnate to be able to learn to be able to do that.
Yeah. But
so
it's such a good feeling to do that.
It really is.
And if that's all it takes is for you to sit down a few hours a day and work on your shit,
internalize.
You would be surprised if you realize that the effort does pay off.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. You start to see these benefits of spirituality immediately once you start to quit going against the grain, and you start doing what you need to do to wake up and to get up above that bullshit.
Exactly.
And it's gonna, if you're just now having a very big spiritual awakening, I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna be a little bit of a long, hard road for you. But you just have to stay strong, especially if you don't have a partner.
Yeah.
And trust yourself, because that's the biggest hurdle.
It is the biggest
trusting
hurdle.
yourself.
Self-doubt has been so instilled in us.
And from a young age, we're taught to self-doubt, and that's a moment of control for the. Don't get me
Something
started.
I want to talk about too is posed a question. My good friend Brian had messaged me yesterday on Facebook and asked me what deity I worshipped. And I was like, how do I put this into a message? Because, I'm the world's worst. That's why I have a hard time writing a book or anything. But I'm like, how do I tell? I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
There's no deity that I worship. It's all of a higher conscious.
Yeah, it's what that deity represents.
Exactly.
The energy that people feel when they're feeling that deity.
Anything.
Yeah, it's more to me like a muse than anything,
It is a
because you have that goddess energy, that beautiful. There is certain energies associated with these deities, and that's why people have personified them.
Absolutely. I love that goddess energy.
Yeah.
Like, we embrace all things.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
That doesn't confine us.
Exactly.
Or try to control us.
Exactly.
Because that's not what God is, or God,
No.
or whoever, Thor, Odin, whatever it is. If you do your spiritual work and you realize it's all one, and it's a conscious of energy that is divine. It is really divine consciousness.
It is okay to connect with that energy and personify it, because that's how you feel it.
Yeah.
We connect with the moon. When it's a full moon, we love to go out and chase the moon. We connect with that energy so strong, and it's the energy of that moon, and it's that goddess.
Yes.
That goddess energy, and it feels very feminine, and it feels powerful and strong, and that it's the creator type feeling,
It is. And it's beautiful.
And it's the same with Jesus Christ and God.
Yeah.
That Holy Ghost, that blessed feeling that people get in church and stuff like that.
We've talked about this many times, is, we don't really have a belief system as far as like binding us to a religion or thought form. It's open. It's open because we wouldn't be this far if we wasn't that open, if that makes sense. Because there's all these things and these different religions, or very intense ways, I guess, spiritual ways, that tell you that you can, this is how it is.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with man, is that this is how it is.
Right.
And that's how history come about. So the history was written also by man, which how flawed is that? We're just finding that out.
Right. God.
So that's some of the things that's happening in the new world too. We're seeing the difference in what out with the old.
And with the new, any negative shit part of our lives, we're choosing to not be a part of it.
Yeah.
Tell yourselves daily, that's not my world. Yeah. When you start finding yourself going into that negative thought process or frame of mind, say that's not my world, and stop thinking about it immediately.
Pull yourself back.
Because you can create the perception of your own reality.
Yes, you can.
You truly can. So if you choose to thrive in that, you're going to, but if you choose to rise above that, you're also going to.
Exactly. You have to hold yourself accountable, and that's what people don't want to do, is hold themselves accountable. Because when you have that reaction to something, why are you having that reaction? That's not what you think. You just react.
No, right.
So
they have to examine the root cause.
Exactly. You have to find what is causing that reaction, and that could go back generational, and that could be going back through a lot of things, but that can be healed very easily.
Very easily.
It may take time, but
it may be hard. It may be hard to face, but guess what? You're going to have to.
Exactly.
If you expect to live a spiritual life and to ascend, you will have to make compromises. You will have to deal with some ugly shit.
See, and that is the bad ego. Everybody thinks that is supposed to be ego, because there's two types of egos. Right. That is the ego of self clicking in and going, oh, but if I bear my vulnerabilities, then it hurts me in a certain way, and I want to buck up against it. And that's what we've been taught as a society.
It is.
And it is taking that energy and changing, and your mind thought and changing. And when you start to, you actually stop doing it, and you don't even know you've stopped doing it.
Oh, I know.
And it just naturally just goes away.
Then you're driving back from Big Stone Gap one day, and you're looking out the window reflecting, and you're like, damn, I'm a badass.
Right, there you go.
I mean, you have to really examine yourself, and if you want to call that ego, call it ego. But I don't feel like it is. I'm owning celebrating myself for the very first time in my life where I'm able to do that, and it's a good damn feeling, and I'm never going back down.
No, you're not.
We've the past 3 days have been freaking phenomenal.
We want to hike. Earth Day. Happy Earth Day, everybody.
Happy Earth Day. We did. We went to Dead Branch Falls, and we went to Mars.
Yeah, and it was a big deal because we made it all the way.
Yeah.
We took our good friend Hannah.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yes. Shout out to Hannah.
Yes, and we had such a good time.
Yeah.
And we took many breaks, but by God, we made it.
We fucking made it back to the waterfall, and then we made it all the way out.
Yes.
And then we even had enough in us left to go to Mars, guys. We went to Mars, and I know you're probably thinking, God, what are they talking about?
Like, are they on something more than just...
No, and we went to Mars, and Mars is a very beautiful landscape in the at the top of Pine Mountain near the trailhead where we you guys have seen us on Facebook Lives driving through there and all that. Anyway, it's on the opposite side of the street per se, and anyway, we never knew what was up there. Funny story, 3 weeks ago we were driving by there on Pine Mountain, and you asked what was up there, and I had no idea. I knew that tower was up there, but anyway, Hannah took us up there, and we went right up that road, you know, so that answered that question for us. But it's a beautiful landscape. Tell them about it.
It is actually sandstone. And so it produces quartz and this really white sand, and then it has this beautiful.
Yeah, that's pieces of quartz, natural quartz,
rose
quartz, and we found it laying right up there at Mars, right in our backyard.
Right, and because it's actually they call it Mars rock, but we like to fuck with people, and that
it does look like a setting on Mars.
It does.
Apart from the greenery, because it does have greenery. It's
very beautiful.
The actual sandstone and whatever looks just like something you'd see on Mars, which we know now because of the rover.
Thank
you, NASA, for allowing us to know that.
If you hear this, you better support us somehow.
Yeah.
Just saying, donate to the cause.
To the cause. Yes.
Excuse me.
Oh, you're fine. Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Peace out.